Hey guys, on this episode of Just DIY Mods, we're going to install an oil cooler in the Genesis Coupe. Here we go. Alright, now with this kit, it's a little bit different than some of the other kits that there's out there. There is a kit out there for the 2013 3.8. But I actually already have the filter conversion for that. So basically I used the Mishimoto adapter a while back to switch to a screw-on type oil filter. So I don't need that whole kit. What I actually did was bought the 2.0 kit, which seems like has all the same mounting and all the same bracketry and everything else. But it should give me a little bit longer hoses to kind of get everything routed just the way I want. And conceptually it's all the same, so a little bit different, still should work. So here we go. So it looks like this actually attaches to the loom. However, it doesn't fully attach. It's actually just taped to the loom, so we can cut that a little bit. Alright, so cutting that loom gave us an extra 2.5 inches. Alright, so that's right off the core support. It's a little bit floppy. I don't think it was intended to be that floppy, but well, it is. So hopefully that doesn't cause any issues with our AC, because I'll be pretty pissed. Moving on. Okay, now normally, especially how they have this set up for the 2.0 as well as for the 3.8, so they have this actually mounting on these holes like that, and then this actually goes in the car this way. Now part of the issue with that, in my opinion, and I guess you can argue it doesn't really matter, but it seems like people that have it installed the incorrect way tend to have more heating issues with their oil temps being a little bit more erratic, a little bit more inconsistent. Now, if you have your oil cooler installed this way, your oil comes up, it fills your cooler, it comes across, and it goes down. Now, there's no way for the air that is in the cooler to actually be removed from the system. So what ends up happening is you get this air pocket up here, and you don't effectively get a consistent or a good cooling because you're not utilizing the entire heat exchanger for that. Now if you install it this way, your oil comes in and actually fills from the bottom up, so you end up getting all of the air pushed out of this line through the system and cleared out, and you end up with essentially full of oil in your entire core. So you end up utilizing all of the fins and all the cooling capacity of this unit. So I don't like that Mishimoto recommends installing it this way, because I feel like that's a faulty design, and in reality it should be installed this way. Now luckily enough, their bracketry here is actually symmetric on their top and bottom tanks, with the exception of this AN fitting welded to the top. So instead of putting our bracket this way, we're actually going to put our bracket this way. So that should allow access on the top, and we should be able to get everything set up. So we're going to go ahead and put that on that way. Alright, it's a little bit difficult to see, but it's a lot of work to put this in. I actually stopped filming because it was just way too much work. It literally took me all night. Don't know why. I just sat and stared at it for a while. But I actually had to relocate the intercooler. I had to cut the bracket and actually shift that about a ½ inch forward to clear space for the core. The core actually, the oil cooler core wouldn't actually fit behind the intercooler in any capacity. There's the ambient air temperature sensor there, and you know, the way that the lines were routing, the lines were too long to really fit any other configuration. So that was pretty much what I had to do. I couldn't mount it in any sort of landscape sense, mainly because the lines were actually too long, depending on how the routing went. I actually routed them differently. I went, the bottom one actually has coming up through underneath in this hole between the headlight and then the bottom one actually goes down where the 3.8 one would go. But with all of the intercooler piping and everything else that I have mounted on this car, it really wouldn't fit any other way. I actually had to make a bracket here. So this one's from the stock one's actually supposed to be mounted down here and be bolted to the core support and to the oil cooler core itself, mounted this way. So I mounted it vertically, which is definitely a little bit different. I'm not too sure how that's going to affect. It should allow air to come out, but it's going to be a bit tricky. We'll have to just test it out and see. So this bracket, I just welded 2 bolts on the back side of the plate, and then that plate is just pushed through the back from in front of the radiator and behind the core support. And then I just threaded 2 nuts on there. I had to cut them down a little bit so they're not too long and too sticking out, but then just bent a piece of metal up and then welded a tab on it to mount this core. So I mean, that's really not going anywhere. And then I notched it so it would sit around this piece here that holds the bumper. So definitely not going anywhere side to side. There is a slight bit of back and forth movement, but it's sitting so tight that it really shouldn't be an issue. Obviously the horn's relocated and that kind of stuff. So also the sandwich adapter and all that kind of stuff mounted in the back there. Mishimoto has a great install video for if you're stock. If you have a 2.0 turbo, they have a great install video, as well as for a 3.8. The difficulty just comes in when you've got a lot more stuff cluttering the way. How do you really get the space to mount everything? And I didn't want to mount it behind the crash bar, which was the only other place I could have mounted it, because you've got a lot of limited flow behind that, so your oil cooler is not really functioning that well. So this is really what I came up with. Hey guys, what's up? On this episode of fucking shit.